बात करते हैं अफगानिस्तान की। बहुत ही अंदोनाक वाक़या काबुल के अंदर पुरानी वजारत दाखिला की बिल्डिंग के करीब तालिबान ने हमला किया, जिसके अंदर 40 अफराद शहीद हुए और बहुत बड़ी तादाद में 100 के करीब लोग ज़ख्मी भी हुए। इससे पहले आपको याद होगा 7 दिन पहले कॉन्टिनेंटल होटल के ऊपर भी हमला हुआ था और वहाँ पर भी बड़ी कैजुअल्टीज़ थी। हमें पाकिस्तान में अफगानिस्तान के सफ़ीर डॉक्टर उमर ज़खीलवाल ने ज्वाइन किया है, उनको हम खुशामदीद कहते हैं। डॉक्टर उमर, थैंक यू वेरी मच for being with us. We are talking on a very sad day. First and foremost,
Pleasure.
our heartfelt condolences on behalf of our team to what happened in Kabul. Looking at your tweet, of course, we imagine the pain and grief that you have expressed, and we can relate to that. There's an interesting line in your tweet which says that if big bombs were the solution, would be the most secure place on earth today. I want you to dwell on this theme. Fighting isn't the answer, but fighting is expanding.
Well, whether we call this fighting or this is pure terrorist attacks, there could be no fighting, and yet these type of terrorist activities will still be around. Today was a very purely heinous, tragic terrorist attack on Kabul. They took the lives not of 40. So far, the figure that is reaching to me is probably about 65 people, and this figure may go may further go up. 65 people have lost their lives.
Big loss.
Close to 200 people have gotten injured, and this week alone, only in Kabul, it will be close to 120 people who would have lost their lives to these terrorist attacks.
What explains this expansion in terrorism and the audacity of these attacks?
Well, it would be difficult to get into the terrorist minds. It is just the fact that they are targeting ordinary civilians, the fact that they are just carrying this out for the sake of terror. Is just terror is the pure objective. Again, the targets today was not sort of lost the military lost or whatever. Even in the intercontinental, whether they were the foreigners or Afghans, they were all civilians. Many of the foreigners work for an airline that was also serving Islamabad on a regular basis, and stewardess and pilots in those attacks were targeted. And then this one is, again, I'm very familiar with that place. I have lived around there. I have friends who work there. Many of them are very poor Kabulis who go out there and sell stuff, and they hang around there, and there are sort of really low-cost shops and all that. And that's what's targeted, and that's most of the people who've lost their lives to.
Let's talk about the expanding and continuous nature of disorder, whether it is fighting or terrorism in very extreme and heinous form, as you called it, rightly described it. What is the way forward? We were looking at your tweet when you met the Pakistan Army chief, and you sounded very upbeat and optimistic. There have been American representatives here who again focused attention on Afghanistan. There seems to be something happening, but nothing seems to change on ground.
Well, there is no doubt a lot of talks that we are having. There's no doubt that there is a lot of commonalities that we are expressing, a lot of agreements. But I think we need to do more than just talks. I think close coordination, steps that will really help both Afghanistan and Pakistan to put an end to this madness. And I do believe that if Afghanistan and Pakistan sincerely cooperate, they could, at the start, significantly reduce the impact and outreach of this terrorism, and eventually could jointly destroy it. These elements are emerging within these two countries. They have their movement, and they get their inspiration within these two countries. And I think jointly we should be able to be more effective if we do put some sincere efforts into this elimination of this threat that today is certainly a threat mostly to Afghanistan, but certainly in its fair share. And in the future, if such elements exist, there is no guarantee that they will be only targeting us but not Pakistan. And secondly, of course, our pain is and should be Pakistani's pain as well, because of the close and people-to-people relationship in the proximity between the two countries. And therefore, all these commonalities in this relations, in this spillover from one country to other, should compel us to be more forthcoming.
Towards the end, I was looking at our Prime Minister Khaqan Abbasi Saab's interview to Washington Post, in which he spoke about his description and analysis of the problem in Afghanistan, and we partially quote him when he said that the government has minimal control over the areas where Taliban roughly have 38% of the control across Afghanistan. Drug trafficking is the highest level we have seen in 50 years. Pakistan is fencing the border, spending billions of dollars. What I'm trying to understand from you, apart from the familiar narrative, and I'm sure there's weight in that narrative when you say that the border is the problem, but what's the value of this narrative when you hear it from Pakistan that essentially Taliban have made ingress inside Afghanistan?
No doubt that there is territory controlled by Taliban. No doubt about other things that he's mentioned, but there is also, I think, between the two countries trying to explain in such a way that we cannot do anything about to help is certainly not reassuring to us, because we do believe, despite everything that he said and that's accurate, there are elements of the Taliban that perhaps were involved even in today's terrorist attacks. They do cross over to this side, that Pakistan can, with really resolute and sincere efforts, help us eliminate those. A couple of days ago, there were some targets by drones. I know that they got some negative reaction from Pakistan, but it didn't need to get there. I think Pakistan, with probably some more efforts on its own, could put it into those type of elements who do plan terrorist attacks on this soil against innocent civilian or even public targets in Kabul and elsewhere in Afghanistan.
Mr. Ambassador, thank you very much for talking to us. नाज़रीन, डॉक्टर उमर ज़खिलविल हमसे बात कर रहे थे, पाकिस्तान और अफगानिस्तान के सफ़ीर, और बता रहे थे कि 200 के करीब अफराद जो है अभी तक ज़ख्मी हुए हैं और 65 के करीब शहादतें हुई हैं और वो ज़्यादा हो सकती हैं। बहुत ही उदास करने वाला दिन है, क्योंकि हमारे बिल्कुल नेबरहुड के अंदर मुसलमानों के ऊपर हमले हो रहे हैं और लड़ाई में सबका नुकसान हो रहा है।